In this video, we'll pick up where we left off from the Java generated code, but we will see the Flex generated code. To do that, let's go and we look underneath the Flex generated folder. Once again, you'll find an instructions folder. Okay, so now we need to copy all of our Flex objects. Well, we have a task that can do most of that work. So if we run this, that copies it all to our library. There's some of this, though, that needs to be merged into existing classes. So, for example, we have to copy the commands into our controller. So if we open up the control, and then now if we go down into our FxUI library, open up that controller, we go back over here, and now we need to add all these commands. We'll just put these at the bottom. Then we also need to make sure to take our import statements. Okay, so that's done. So next, we need to go into the library project and make sure that the library project knows to include our new classes. So to do this, we look at the properties of the project. We go to the library build path. You'll see, for example, like demo here is unchecked, but we just want to include everything. So just do a select all and say OK. That updates the compiler. And then next, we need to go into the services MXML and tell it about our remote object. So if we go under Business, Services, MXML, we will add that. And lastly, we are going to add the UI classes to the Flex app. So if we go under UI, and we're going to copy these, go up to the FxUI project, and we will paste those. Now we need to also let the FxUI know about these new modules. So we go under the build path, modules, and we add these two. And so now if we do a build, well, let's go back to our instructions. Just make sure we have everything done, and we do. So let's build this project. And we should end up getting an error, which we do. We have the one error here now. And so as you can see, it says name, and we need to change that to task name. So now if we go ahead and build this project, you will see both of our demo Swifts are built. So if we go ahead and run this and log in, we don't see our items quite yet, but that's because they're not associated to a folder. So if we go in here to the tree folder area, and we can just create a new folder. We're going to call it demo, give it a display order of 4, no Swift name. Security key name, we'll just choose a generic one right now. And then we will add our demo items to it. We could have easily have added these to an existing one, but this will show the power of the navigation system. So now we have a demo folder. Now we just need to go associate it to the tree. Right now we just have the one tree, so we're going to add it into there. So now the next time that we log in, we now have a demo folder with our two items under it. So we can go into the priority screen here and we can add new priorities, for example, like high. And you'll see down here there's always a status of what's going on. Medium. And for example, low. Now we can go over to our task items, and you can see that it knows that this foreign key should be linked to these priorities, which are lookups, so we can show the find screen and show all the items. This is actually the shared control from what you saw over on the other screen. So they share the same data set out of the box. That doesn't mean they have to stay that way, but that's why you're seeing this already populated with data. But we could come in here and say that we want to see all the ones with an M, do a search, we find our mediums, and what have you. But right now we don't have any data. So let's go and add one. And we'll take our medium, give it a task name. And as you notice, this determined this was a date field, so it must need a date picker already for you. So there we go. Now we have a task, and it's been linked to our other items. This was all code generated. None of this has been touched, as you can tell from the naming conventions. And if we want to, we could go and look back at the database and see that our data is still in there. So if we look at our task items, there's our task item. If we look at our priorities, there's our 3 priorities. So with this, it can show you how we can code generate everything we need for lookups, as well as security and navigation, all just by looking at tables and moving some code around. There is just a little bit of a sleight of hand behind this, but underneath the code generation class, this is part of a somewhat limitation of the Hibernate code generation, but honestly, I don't know that there's a solution to it. So if we go under the FxUI gen and we look under this class here, we will see our base reverse strategy. So there's this method we can override called exclude foreign keys. And basically, you'll see there's security key in here, and then I also had this demo project task priority. And this is due to the fact if this was not in here, basically our priorities would have a collection of items, which is not what we want. We want our items to have a collection of priorities. If this wasn't in here, they would both have collections of each other. And so it can't really tell which one is the owning table. So to do that, we come in here and we add this. And lastly, one of the things to show is that for free with all this, we also get all this functionality in an Adobe Air application. So to do that is all we have to do is copy our modules from our FxUI project, paste them into our Air project, and then let the compiler know about the new modules. So now it's updating the compiler, and we build the project. So we log in with admin since it's using the same business logic layer in the background. All looks pretty similar. There's our new folder for demo and our 2 new items. So there's our screens. We can go in and look at them as well. We can search and find our item, and we still have all of our lookups and everything else like we did in our Flex app. So that wraps it up for the code generation part. Our next videos will show more advanced code generation as well as the built-in features.